Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
Friday's edition of the program underway. All of our guests today brought to you by the Whistler Golf Club. A reminder, follow them on Instagram to keep up to date with their renovation, which is ongoing now. I tell you, Rick, well, first of all, a lot of people in the Bayside Oceanfront Resort inbox absolutely ripping you for somehow getting Macwan out of
Stu
McEwen.
texted me Mace one. I just read the text. Anyways, it's McEwen.
Okay. But then also a lot of people are backing you up on the seed thing.
Pumpkin seeds are very healthy. I do a lot of research on longevity, eating the right foods. Pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds are very good for you.
Right.
And every day I pumpkin seeds, I grab some nuts, I put them in there, and then I put the yogurt in. Bingo.
Yeah. You see a lot of baseball players with the sunflower seeds, right? Spitting.
The sunflower seeds, exactly. But you don't want them salted. You don't want too much salt.
Right.
Get rid of the salt and just have the pumpkin seeds. They're fine.
Health tips with Rick Delano.
I'm on a health binge.
One guy that's a healthy individual, we know this, is Thomas Drance.
I wouldn't go that far.
He joins us now from the Athletic and Sportsnet 650. Tom, are you a big seed guy?
I'm a big pepita seed guy.
Oh.
I'm Team Rick on this one. What Rick's talking about, I like my smoothie game.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
I'm a big wake up and smoothie guy. I like the mango. I like to freeze my bananas. I buy big bananas, not the small bananas that Rick favors.
Yep.
But I buy the big bananas and then I cut them up and then I freeze them because they taste better in my smoothies when they're frozen. Blueberry, some mango, some banana, a ton of spinach or kale, some yogurt, and then I like to do chia seeds and pepita seeds. That's my jam.
And almonds and walnuts.
I love almonds, but almonds high cal, so I use pepitas instead of almonds, Rick. But I'm on the pumpkin seed kick right there with you.
Yep, bingo.
This segment brought to you by Magic Bullet. Your smoothies coming to you soon. All right, Thomas, let's talk a little Canucks. Final preseason game tonight. Thankfully, this thing is just about over.
Thank God, yeah.
It looks like an NHL-heavy lineup tonight for the Canucks, and Adam Foote said so yesterday. Who has the most to prove, though, tonight? One game, final, maybe push, final. Hey, look at me. Who is the most to prove for the Canucks tonight?
I think it's got to be one of the following four names, and we'll see once we know exactly who's in, but it's going to be one of the following four guys because none of them require waivers, and I think all of them have something to prove in terms of jobs to earn, perhaps spots in the lineup to earn. Jonathan Lekkerimäki, right at the top of my list. Will the Canucks start with 8 defensemen? Will they start with 7 and 14 forwards? If it's 14 forwards, Lekkerimäki, I think would probably be on the team. And if he's on the team, given his age, he's probably going to play on opening night. And to be honest with you, I think he's earned it with what we've seen in preseason. And on it, I just think he's one of the, 9 best forwards on this team or has been throughout camp. I think he deserves a shot. But I think he'll have a lot to prove, assuming that he gets a look tonight. And then the 3D, whichever of Mancini, Elias Pettersson, the defender, or Tom Wilander are in the lineup, they're going to have a lot to prove. And likewise, I mean, you sort of look at it, 13 forwards, I think we feel pretty confident in making this team. 6 defensemen, I think we have a good handle on. We'll see about P.O. Joseph. Club or Adam Foote noted that he was dealing with a groin injury. So 6, assuming that he's healthy, that leaves, 2 spots basically, right? For those 4 gentlemen. So that's going to be hotly contested, I would imagine, when the Canucks play their final preseason game against the Oilers. The Oilers certainly are going to bring a dress rehearsal NHL lineup tonight to Rogers Arena. And those 4 gentlemen will be the ones that I'm watching most closely this evening.
Thomas Drance joining us from the Athletic Sportsnet 650. Thomas, we lost you during that Evander Kane answer, so maybe just another 30 seconds on if you think there's anything up with Kane.
Please, well, because I was doing sort of a compliment sandwich, so I want to make sure that I get it in. But I was watching him at training camp and thought his pace was low and thought, this is probably nothing, but I'm going to watch it when the preseason begins. And then we saw him against the Kraken, and he was one of Vancouver's best players, certainly one of their most creative players in that game, had no issue with the pace in that game at all. So I don't look into this at all. I think this is a 16-year vet who knows exactly how to get himself ready for when the games matter. And I don't read a single iota into it whatsoever.
Hey, Thomas, the Canucks are trying to trade Kravtsov right now. They've called a ton of teams on him. I don't think there's any interest. What was the thinking of bringing this guy back?
Well, I think there was interest in the summer after his, sterling KHL campaign. And I think, back in July or August, I suppose, after he'd sort of signed in Vancouver, the Canucks thought he'd be a pretty high risk of getting claimed were he to be placed on waivers. Now, if there was no one willing to pay, that conditional seventh to jump the queue, that suggests that his percentage chance of clearing, once we find out sort of today's waivers, is pretty low. I guess that reflects that he didn't make an impression on the Canucks or anybody else in preseason. I think the Canucks just looked at him as a guy who, was at a low ebb of their confidence when we last saw him in a Canucks uniform back sort of the early part of the Rick Tocchet experience, the tail end of the Bruce Boudreau era. And I think the club viewed it as, maybe he's found some confidence with 2 successful seasons in the KHL. Maybe he's sort of developed. He's got size. He's got hands. For whatever reason, he hasn't been able to put it all together in terms of the hockey IQ side or the toughness side or actually leveraging his skills to produce at the NHL level. And based on what we saw in the preseason, I don't know that that's fundamentally changed, even though it does look like his skating stride is somewhat more powerful today than it was 2 years ago. So I think they just wanted first look at him in case he'd sort of leveled up. And, if he ends up down in Abbotsford because he doesn't have a European out clause in his deal, we'll see if this experiment gets a longer time horizon.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens with them. All right, the trade route, they're still talking. They're talking to teams, possibly a second-line center. If Pettersson or Hedl ever got hurt, Thomas, Bluger would end up being in the top 6. That's of concern.
Gary.
Yeah, but second-line centers don't grow on trees. And if you're going to go get one, Thomas, they're very, very expensive.
They're very expensive. The club is definitely still keeping, a line in the fishing pond, as it were, hoping to get a nibble or perhaps an outright bite. The Braden Coots part of this is going to be interesting to unpack here too. He's only played center throughout training camp in the preseason. I'd expect if he makes this team, it will be as a center, and I do expect him at this juncture to make this team. So, does that help at all? Aatu Ratu's had 2 strong games to close the preseason. There's obviously still some skating limitations there, but big body, responsible defensively, and as we've seen, he can finish. I mean, he's got skill in there as well. So, club's been comfortable with its center options from a hold the fort standpoint, but at some point here, whether it's this week or over the weekend before the 23-man roster deadline kicks in, a frame of time in which this team has historically been very active on the trade market, or if they wait 10, 15, 20 games to start the season, like the hunt to upgrade the center depth of this lineup is going to continue. And it's not just hunting for center depth. I sort of phrased that incorrectly there, gentlemen.
Yeah.
It really is looking for a second line center or a plus third line center, right? You either want a guy who can push Hedl to the third line, or you want a really good third line center who can complement Hedl and make your middle 6, a little bit more robust. And that's what the club's been shopping for months. They'll continue shopping for that over the weekend, and they'll continue shopping for it, in through American Thanksgiving once the regular season begins too. We all know it, and they know it as well.
I mentioned tonight, final preseason game. So, Thomas, tomorrow, when you're celebrating that the preseason is finally over, you add an extra, what was this, papaya seeds? What was it?
Pepita, that's pumpkin seeds.
Yeah, pumpkin seeds.
Add an extra scoop tomorrow morning to your smoothie to really
an extra
celebrate.
scoop of pepita seeds.
Yeah,
yeah,
to celebrate.
Sounds good.
Yeah?
Don't forget the nuts, Thomas. They're really, really healthy.
You're talking to one right now, Thomas.
Well, Rick, I'm telling you, try some chia seeds. Try
I
some
know.
chia seeds.
I have tried chia seeds, but they're too small.
I know, but
they're too small.
But just put more.
They're like little.
put more.
They're like little pebbles. You know, it's not good for me. Get to the nuts. You won't. Almonds and I'm telling you, walnuts. They're the best, Thomas.
I love them, but they're just high caloric. I'm telling you, chia seeds, baby.
Okay, so with the high calorie and the high fat saturated, you have to put just a little bit. Just a little bit. Don't go to 21 almonds and just 2, 3 or 4 or 5. That's it.
Hey, look, I drink enough calories after work that I don't want to drink too many before it.
Awesome
All right.
stuff. Thanks, Thomas.
This cooking session is over.
We'll talk to you next Friday.
Smoothie time with Rick and Drance. The segment you never know you knew you needed.
Yes.
Thanks, Thomas.
boys.
Appreciate it. Thomas Drance from the Athletic and Sportsnet 650 joining us.